Lunes hanggang Linggo, aalawin kayo ng aming kilalang mga komentarista at public service program. Ito lamang himpilan ng DWPL.
The proceeding program expresses only the opinions and views of its respective block timer, producer, radio announcer, writer, and production staff, and does not in any way reflect the views of this station. The station has advised the programmers to abide by broadcast laws and KBP rules.
Every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m., let's all listen to your Tito J. Perez, the professional safety and skills advocate on air. All About Safety is brought to you by JLF Projects International Inc. Experienced and skilled people handling your sensitive and expensive machinery. They do rigging, lifting, trading, and transport your equipment safe and economical. If you think safety is expensive, try an accident. Or you could call on them at j.ferrer@jlftransport.com.ph or 0917-862-4995.
Hello, good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock once again, all about safety with your Tito J on a beautiful, wonderful, sunny Saturday afternoon. At alam niyo po ba, gumaganda na yung parang tingin ko, bumabalik na. I see a lot of activity in the mall. Kahapon kasama ko si ibang mga tao nandito. At before we have our guest right now, and I would like to introduce to you, he is a Mapúa mechanical engineering graduate po, no? Siya po yung nagtapos dyan. Kaklase niya po yung mga kaibigan natin sa Mapúa, na Engineer Erwin Rabino. Siya rin po ay isang professor po sa University of the Philippines. At nagtuturo po siya dyan sa University of the Philippines. Siya po ay meron din pong isang business, business niya po ay nasa training. Meron po siyang safety training, safety training school din po, no? At siya po ay talagang kung mga sa oil and gas, mga fuel, yan po kanyang expertise, So, let's all welcome ngayon si Engineer Ronnie Dagal ng Oil and Gas Training Center. Engineer Dagal, magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon sa mga viewers mo.
At we are being heard, Engineer Dagal, sa Saudi Arabia, Canada, and even parts here in the Philippines, sa Pangasinan. Ngayon, lagi kong tinatanong ito, Engineer Ronnie, you may, bakit ba napili nyong unang-una kumuha muna ng mechanical engineering course and then involved po kayo sa mga safety trainings? Ano po ba ang dahilan? So as to motivate the young people na nakikinig sa atin. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. I took up mechanical engineering in 1975 because that time mechanical engineering was the most aftersought profession. And then we studied five years, 5.5 years, so that we'll get a good job. And then after getting the job, I taught for a while in Mapúa High School when I was 21 years old, and they took me up again when I was 60 years old. All right. Okay, so why safety? During that time, one of the biggest construction company in the Philippines, where I was employed, they started to have this safety department. So they picked 2 mechanical engineers, 1 electrical engineer, 1 civil engineer, and that starts my profession, the HSE or the safety profession. And then 2 years after, in 1989, I joined the Singapore's or America's McDermott, office in Singapore. And thereafter, I joined, after Singapore, I went to Saudi Arabia, and then I joined Petronas Carigali in Malaysia. And then SR Oil in India. And then Occidental Petroleum, the Zuetina oil in Libya. And then my last stop was United Arab Emirates, the ADNOC group of companies. I worked there for ADGAS, for ADCO, and then ADMAOPCO, and then ADGAS LNG. They call it ADNOC LNG. And then after retiring, again I was called. We had a partnership with Mapúa University. I'm the only partner of Mapúa with respect to oil and gas training.
Okay,
And
okay.
of course, safety and HSE and mechanical engineering. Let's start. Questions.
Okay. So, engineer, no? Could you tell me about this, ito pong training center nyo? The name is 03G HSE ONG. I believe yung ONG po stands for oil and gas. Ano po ibig sabihin naman po nung what does it mean yung 03G HSE? What does it stand for? Your company?
Okay, this is offshore, onshore oil and gas company and gas HSE training center. That's why it's O3. But there is really a chemical formula for O3 is a chemical formula. That one we are teaching in the oil and gas training. So you need to know what is O3, the real meaning of O3.
Yun. So dito na lang napapakinggan yan, ano? Pero hindi ho naintindihan dito ng dalawa kong kasama, medyo kadarating lang. Pakiulit daw yung sabihin nyo ng O3.
O3 is 3O, no? Offshore, onshore oil and gas training center.
Onshore, offshore training center. Okay. Oil and gas. Ngayon, hindi ba po sinasabi yan yung these offshore, they are the upstream part of the oil production. Could you give just brief lang po about upstream part and the scope in your business?
In the oil and gas, you call it upstream when it is exploration and yes, production.
Okay.
The midstream is the process.
Okay.
And the downstream is the end user.
Ayun.
At the downstream is, for example, refinery.
Okay. So you are there teaching. Let's say I think there must be some are technical people too. How they could enter such the oil and gas industry, which is one of the highest, I believe, one of the highest paying professions in the industry right now. Could you confirm that, Engineer Ronnie?
Yes. One of my students, well, he is former policeman, a former SAF, and then he retired or resigned, and then he took my course. He's now working in the place where I work. Incidentally, we met there. He's earning nearly 1M in 35 or 35 days coming to Philippines. Why?
Wow.
How was he able to get the job? You see, during the interview, these people are not only asking about the basic occupational safety and health.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to know the business itself. What are the hazards? It's not only about occupational safety and health. You need to know what is the process so that you can be involved in process safety.
Mm-hmm.
See? What? For example, you have a plant, and you're going to work in a certain plant. You need to know what business are you are you engaged? This is, for example, LNG. What are the hazards? What are the associated hazards? You see, you have to impress the interviewers.
Okay. So more or less that this guy is a former policeman, he's not an engineer. And he was hired
He's not
as a was he hired as a
HSE
safety officer
coordinator.
or what was his position there, Engineer Ronnie?
HSE coordinator.
Okay.
And
Okay. So
he works 35 days and come home 35 days, 28 days, just like me. And
alternative.
we incidentally met there. And he's still there. He's still young. And so many of my students were able to penetrate the oil and gas. And they are not engineer. They are nurse. Some of them are, as I said, during that time in America, during that interview in American group with American groups, I have a high school level, which he knows he can understand English and speaks English. So he attended my training, and when the time comes, there was this interview in Qatar. He was the one who was taken in by the employer. Why? Because when you say Qatar, you must know the business of Qatar. It's more than just having occupational safety and health is good,
Mhm.
but you must know more than that when you come to oil and gas.
Okay, that's very good. So Engineer Dagal, I'll try to speak something. I'll be Taglish more because they're already
Okay, oo nga pala. Yes.
there are already participants, ano? Si Angelo Redeja. So magandang hapon daw. Ito daw si Angelo, nakikinig sila po, taga Malolos, Bulacan. Pangalawa po si Alvin Buluran de la Cruz. Mabuhay ang mga safety officer. Ito sabi ni Joselito Quintana. Brad Ronnie, ang galing mo. Okay? Tapos meron si Sister Pam, sabi niya, can I apply sa isang babae daw po? Pwede ba daw pong maging nasa oil and gas po? Isang babae na sa ganitong profession sa oil and gas industry? Kasi
The
nadinig
first, yes. Thank you.
1 million po sa Saudi.
The first woman safety officer in United Arab Emirates, Filipina, was my student.
Okay.
So now it's open for both man and woman for the oil and gas. You can see that in the news in YouTube. You can find them there. Nagtatrabaho sila dyan sa oil and gas. And
Mhm.
you see, here in the oil and gas, you need great knowledge about this oil and gas. It's not only about, I'm repeating, it's not only basic occupational safety and health.
Mhm.
You need to know those gases, they're harmful gases. For example, we talk about gases. When you are in the oil and gas, you must be, sorry, I used to make like this.
Yes, right.
You need to know these gases. What are the hazards? What are the permissible exposure limit and the occupational exposure limit and the flammable limit
Mhm.
of those gases, so that you will be able para maka-level ka sa mga kausap mong engineer. Kasi I'm telling you, lahat ng alam mong occupational safety and health, alam ng mga engineer yan. Ang problema, yung alam ng engineer, hindi mo alam. So how will you
Okay.
level up? How will you level? Alam ko rin yung sabi mo eh. But when they talk about shape and equipment, there you go. You need to know how an accident occur or will occur.
Mhm.
Okay? You need to know the process.
Mhm. Yun ang pinakamagandang sinabi mo sa process, Engineer Ronnie. Ngayon, ang tanong dito, may mga ibang tanong. Ilang araw ba to po para siya? Halimbawa, siya po ay isang undergraduate ng engineering, third year lang, no? Mechanical din. Ilang araw po siya magti-training po sa inyo para maging competent daw po pa sa oil and gas?
You see, we train people in 5 days.
5 days.
5 days. That's all.
Yun na po yun. So, kung hindi nyo po anuhin po, mamasamain din po. Nagtanong din po dito, yung isa po si G sa Miklat, no? Magkano daw po ang gagastusin para makano, at virtual ba daw po to o face-to-face meeting po ang tanong po niya?
Before, it is face-to-face classroom based, but because of this, this unfortunate event, we go by Zoom, and you just email me, and then because we can negotiate right now by groups, and what do you need to learn? I'm telling everyone, oil and gas is the best foundation of knowledge.
Okay.
This is the best foundation of knowledge for engineers as well. I am surprised, nadibigla ako kasi nga, yung mga taong nagtatrabaho sa oil and gas, ang tagal na nila dun sa Saudi Arabia or sabihin natin sa UAE, sa pinanggalingan ko. Up to now, take advantage of this. They do not know anything at all about the process. 30 years.
Yeah.
And once you know oil and gas, because I designed all the modules of this training. Once you know oil and gas, you cannot be, sorry for the word, you cannot be fooled easily by those hawks, gases. You will stand on your own by science and engineering.
Okay.
And this is very important, science and engineering. You don't depend on someone who is non-technical and persuading you to believe, which is not supposed to be believed. Imagine, you studied 5 years in the university and you don't know anything at all about these gases. I am saying this because Philippines is a victim of a hoax gas, which hovered our country for nearly or more than 50 years.
Opo.
Can you believe this? Can you believe this? I think you know this because I'm posting it on my Facebook. Most of the engineers that I talk,
Engineer, yung pong
they never go.
hindi pa po nakakabasa po ng inyong mga Facebook, marami po dito na mamaya po dumadagsana po, no, yung banggitin ko lang isang nakakilala nyo, naging guest din natin si Robin Rubina. Of course, your partner here is Senior Quest, watching from Quezon City. Yung pong sinasabi nyong gas po, ito po madami po tayong mga bata dito, mga iba po sila, mga housewife, iba naman nanonood lang na paborito. Ano daw po yung mga gas na yon para po maliwanagan sila that's been hovering us for 45 years?
In 1977, I was a second-year student in Mapúa Institute of Technology, and I was 17 years old. We heard of this deuterium, which is present in the southern part of the country. That was 1977. What is the year now? 2021.
Yep.
How many years? And still, it's there. They are believing, they are spreading, and you know ang pinakamasama dito, hindi maganda, etong ating mga engineer, kahit anong engineer, naniniwala na andun daw sa Siargao, andun sa Surigao, something like this. And they're fighting for their life that it is true.
Okay.
So where are the intelligent people, the chemical, the valedictorians, the top-notchers, and even the organization, professional organization, or even the universities and colleges? Why are you not explaining this? I read an article. One senator presented it in the Senate. This is very unfortunate for Filipinos. And when a non-engineer, non-technical, non-chemist speaking like this, and I cannot understand why are you believing these people? There is science. I hope you're getting, the listeners are getting me. It's not enough that you are not believing it. You must satisfy because you are an engineer. You must say that this is hoax because this, and this. They're in my training. Imagine my students in Mapúa, I taught them. They are 20 years old. They can speak in front of 100 million Filipinos to say that this is a hoax. And I'm teaching this. I don't know why people with the caliber of professional engineer, professional something like engineer, work in the oil and gas for 35 years. You see, 35 years. They don't know how to explain. And this is not good for us. How come? Another issue. You know, if you go by science, you will not believe this. If you go by engineering, you will not even believe this. A single second. How come? 50 years, no one's coming. It's good that I came out. I can stand before you, anybody. I'm teaching my student like this. It's not enough that you know, and it's not enough that you do not know, but you have to explain. Okay? Even nuclear power plant, as I said, go ahead. Give all the question.
So yung hoax po yan, nandiyan dyan po yan. Yung ba yung sinasabi nyo daw po na nasa Mindanao na ano ba to? Hindi na tinuloy yung question niya eh. Yung ba raw sinasabi gases, uranium. Yun ho yung sinasabi nasa Philippine Deep. Yung ba po yung sinasabi na alternative fuel po natin?
Hindi ko sinasabi yan. Ang sinasabi ko, hoax yan. Walang katotohanan yan. Simula umpisa pa lang. Kaya lang noong araw, you know, we were second year in Mapúa. Of course, wala ka pang alam. Kaya nga nag-aral tayo eh. But this is gone too long. Masyado na matagal to. This is 45 years. That's why I'm teaching the people by science and engineering. Alam na mga estudyante ko yan.
Na ito eh, fake news pala, no? Fake news. So, dito nyo lang nadidig. Sige po.
Ang problema, nagpapakalat yan, hindi naman engineer. Tapos naniniwala ka. Yun nakakalungkot dun eh. Tapos ikaw, ang taas na position mo. Isa ka pang, sabihin natin napakataas ng mga examination mo, pinagmamalaki mo ba sa Facebook, yung ikaw ay PhD, MSc, dalawa pa kurso mo, nag-aral ka pa sa ibang bansa, nagtrabaho ka sa ibang bansa, for decades, 3 decades, 4 decades past, and you are still believing. Yung sa grupo ko nga, nabibigla pa, sabi na, hoax yan. Pambihira. Nakita ko yung nasa Amerika pa. Nasa Amerika yung tao, Tapos, hindi niya pa rin alam. You see, you don't feel proud. And this is very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Correct. I find it really
this
very...
encompasses the study from oil and gas to nuclear power plant. Yes. Take advantage of this.
Okay.
Bakit? Why?
Engineer. Meron lang tayo dito ng fans nyo. Sandali lang. Balikan po natin yan. Kasi hindi na natin matatanong ito eh. Galing kay J. Buffetts. Sir Ronnie, ano pong safety training course kukunin para makapag-apply sa oil and gas refinery? Kasi mostly hinahanap na requirement ng Qatar o ng Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, NIBOS, tapos IGC 123 with IOS or OSHA. Ano po sagot nyo ron kay J. Buffetts?
Unang-una yung sinabi mo, oil refinery. Hindi oil refinery yung pinaka-applyan mo. It is an oil and gas installation. You see? What knowledge you got. And when you say Bosch, IOS, lahat ng lahat ng OS na yan, pare-pareho naman yan, occupational safety and health. But what you need to know is this, the process and the process safety. And this will be a strong background for anyone. Either you are a nurse or a mechanical or an engineering graduate. And would you believe I am telling you, you will be surprised. Not one petroleum engineering student that attended my course or anyone that pagka nag-speak ako, wala man lang may alam ng process ng malampaya. You see, you are taking a course where you don't understand one process. Pinag-uusapan pa lang natin dito, malampaya. When you go to Qatar, you must know the process. When you go to UAE, you must know the process. When you go to Saudi Arabia, you must know the process. When you go to whichever company, you must know the plant name, and you must know the equipment, and what is inside the equipment, and what is the process. Even the catalyst and the chemicals, you need to know. And this is our specialization. That's why no university or colleges offers my course.
Okay.
This is, as I said, a heart and soul and experience. The other HSE.
Okay. Para sa mga late listeners po natin, ang guest po natin si Engineer Ronnie Dagal. Siya po ay isang mechanical engineering graduate. Nagtuturo po siya sa UP.
Mapúa.
Mapúa po, no? Mapúa. Sorry po. Sorry, Engineer. Sa Mapúa at dinidiscuss po namin ngayon ng oil and gas, ano? So, madami na dito, no? Anin lang natin, alam niyo naman, nasa media tayo, Engineer. Binabati natin si Elsa Cirillo Jonela. Good afternoon po, Engineer. Listening po. Si Coco Rodolfo Bico. Good afternoon, Sale J, and to Engineer. Si Eduardo De Leon. Good afternoon. Ito siguro kilala nyo. Sa safety rin siya. Si Carlo Brian Gitones. Good afternoon din. At si Alan Ong. Watching from saan si Alan watching? Isa from Cainta Rizal. Si Ronald Junicio Domingo. Ito, tiga Saudi Arabia. Shoutout natin to si Ruben M. Cosico Jr. from Saudi Arabia. So ponin niyo po yung mga question. Napakagaling po ni Engineer Ronnie at pwede tayong makiano. Ngayon, Engineer, binabanggit natin yung mga minsan na ano natin dito sa mga ikaw ba bilang isang Pilipino at we have this shortage of resources of fuel. Ano po ba ang pinakamagandang alternative fuel na nasa kita nyo, oil and gas? Ano, meron ditong wind farm, merong mga nuclear. Ano po ba sa tingin nyo pinakamagandang alternative fuel ano natin dito sa Pilipinas? And then we go on that. Huli po tayo.
Okay. Philippines is located in the ring of fire. So you cannot go for nuclear. Why will you go for nuclear? Where your other Asia, bakit yung ASEAN countries mo, magbanggit ka ng isang bansa sa ASEAN na mayroong nuclear power plant? Wala. Pera lang ang Japan.
Wala. China.
Bakit ka nagkaroon? I'm talking of ASEAN. Now, when you talk of Japan, this is a different story. This is a superpower. They can have tsunami, earthquake every month.
Okay.
And they can manage to pay. Now, if you're talking of Japan, okay, let's focus on Japan. Japan, the nuclear reactor meltdown on March 11, 2011. Now they are, you know how much, alam mo ba kung gaano kamahal ngayon ng gaano na nagagastos nila sa paglilinis pa lang?
Opo.
Hindi po. Okay, sabihin ko na sa'yo, $202 billion. Naglilinis pa lang yon. And if you want want me to remind you, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, that is $235 billion US dollars. If you will compare to this country, to your country, pag-aralan mo, magkano ba ang budget mo sa isang taon? Any idea?
1 trillion pesos po yata. 3 million pesos.
$100 billion. So,
$100 billion. Alright.
If you have 100, isang aksidente mo pa lang, 202, paglilinis pa lang. Yung isa, 235. And I'm telling you, and you know this, in Chernobyl, it is unlivable for 20,000 years. Siguro naman, English, Tagalog, maintindihan ng ating mga nakakikinig.
20,000 years, hindi pwedeng tiran yung accident site. Ha? Ganun po ha?
Yung Pripyat at saka Chernobyl. Tapos yung waste, yung spent fuel is radioactive for 10,000 years. Saan ka pupunta? You see, this is engineering and science and safety. What do you want to know about more?
Istripin ko na
So,
po yung nuclear
You're asking me, ano ang alternative energy? There are many alternative energy. We have the biogas here, we have the hydroelectric, we have the wind, we have the solar, ano pa? We have the geothermal. But of course, the biggest part of the pie is in Luzon. We're talking of Luzon, okay? Luzon. Is we have the 3 or 4 or 5 gas turbine. So the fuel is LNG. Okay.
So, bali sa sinasabi nyo, meron tayong nuclear plant sa Bataan which did not push through whatsoever. So, based on the arguments that you're saying to me, you are against a nuclear facility in the Philippines. Tama po ba?
Sa pag-aaral, kailangan inuunawa mo yan. Noong 1973, nagkaroon ng tinatawag na Arab-Israeli War at nagkaroon ng tinatawag na energy shortage. Okay? So, noong 1973, without naming who's the president or whoever, 1973, napakadali. 1976, nagtayo ka na agad ng nuclear power plant. Nasa na pag-aaral niyan? 1976, noong 1979, nagkaroon naman ng tinatawag na 3 Mile Island. Almost an INES level 7 meltdown, reactor meltdown. And then, ang that was 1979. 1986, nagkaroon ng tinatawag na Chernobyl. 1986. You take note of the year. And then 2011, you have another one. The Fukushima, Daiichi reactor meltdown. Now let's have the timeline. When was the first nuclear power plant in the world constructed? 1954.
Okay.
Can you imagine in 1954 that an accident will happen after 25 years? And then after 7 years, 1979 to 1986 is the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the nuclear reactor meltdown. And then 1986 to 2011. Now, in 1986, they were almost thinking of shutting, not pursuing the nuclear power plant. But it went on. Nagtuloy. Noong 2011, then all of them are shutting down. Ang mga nagpo-pro, sana mag-aaral ka rin. Ang lagi mo kasi binabanggit yung mga yan, yung sa Amerika. But America is very big, very big. You have the east side and the west side. Ang mga nuclear power plant nasa east side. Sa New York, dito, sa banda rito, sa Massachusetts. Diba? Kahit ng Canada, naandun. Yung Brunswick, naandun yun. Sa taas, sa west side ng Amerika. Sa taas nila yon. Wala dito sa east side. O sasabihin mo, hindi, meron. Saan? Sa California. O napag-aralan ko na rin yan. Shutdown na yan. Bakit? Because they learned the lesson very well of Fukushima. In 2011, they decided to shut it down. So there's no more nuclear power plant. The Diablo. At tapos sasabihin pa ng mga pro, dapat nag-aaral tayo pareho. Kahit pro ka. Wala daw port line. Wala naman talagang port line doon sa ilalim ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant eh. Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung Ring of Fire. That's why sa ASEAN walang nuclear power plant. Take the case of Singapore. Singapore needs 14,000 megawatt. Ikaw sa Luzon kailangan mo ng 7,000. Bakit? Bakit ikaw gusto mo ng nuclear power plant, ang Singapore hindi nagtatayo? Dapat nga kailangan nila eh. Yung ginawa sa UAE, yung 5 reactors, 4 reactors, kaya-kaya ng Singapore yun. Pero hindi sila nagno-nuclear. Ano ang reason doon? Isa lang reason doon eh. If you are a safety engineer, safety officer, alam mo na reason, it is unsafe. Totally unsafe. sabi nga natin, you need to learn. A wise man learns from his mistake. A wiser man learns from others' mistake.
Okay. Engineer,
Singapore is LNG.
Engineer, bigyan lang po natin ng daan ng ating gwapong-gwapong co-host. Brod Pete, guest natin si Engineer Ronnie Dagal ng Mapúa, professor sa Mapúa. Ang discussion namin ay tungkol sa nuclear power. No, kung ito ay safe o hindi. Kasi si Engineer Ronnie, meron din siyang trainings para sa mga oil and gas. Kung gusto mong kumita ng 1 million pesos isang buwan, yan ang mga naging estudyante ni Ronnie. At marami na nga rito nagtatanong. Bago kita pasaltin, Brod Pete, nihin ko lang muna na ano mo ba, Engineer Ronnie, para ikaw, taga saan ka ba, Engineer? Within Metro Manila ka lang ba?
Oo.
Di makakatikim ka na ng isko-ffee. Lahat ng mga naging guest dito, produkto ni Brod Pete, ang kaping lasang
Langit. Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Brod Pete.
Makakatikim ka rin ng ch-isko. Ayan, nadadali namin yan.
Keso yan, keso.
Thank you.
Yung isko-bee. Yan ang mga ni Brod Pete.
Sir Ronnie, ayan, hindi hoax yan, hindi hoax.
Okay.
Ay, may tatanong ako doon sa hoax. Bakit sila gumagawa ng ganun? Ano mapapala nila, sir? Gumagawa sila ng hoax na ganun.
Hindi ko rin alam kung ano mapapala nila. Kasi ang epekto nun, ang epekto sa atin, niloloko ka, naniniwala ka. Di ba masama yung ganun?
Yes, sir.
Ang lalong mas masama, graduate ka ng UP, o whatever university, sabihin mo, magsabi ka na lang sa isip mo kung ano university, wala tayong sabihin, ano.
Yeah.
Pagka-graduate, kumuha ng Master of Science, nag-doktor pa, nagtrabaho, ang tagal, pero naniniwala pa rin. Sabi ko nga, buti lumabas ako. At papaliwanag ko sa'yo. Kahit sino sa mga yan. O ngayon, i-challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Those who are listening. Prove it. Siyempre, yung mga estudyante ko alam. Prove it. It's not enough that you do not know. When you are engineer, you owe to the you owe to the world, you owe to the Philippines. That you must be able to explain bakit hoax, bakit siya hoax. See? Nuclear power plant, we're talking. Bakit ikaw lang nagtayo? Tiyatanong ko nga nasaan ang pag-aaral? You need to have a risk assessment, you need to have an environmental impact assessment.
So walang
sino naka-invento ng who is the father of nuclear power plant? Can you tell me?
Sino, sir?
You see? Enrico Fermi of Italy.
Italy.
Question. Bakit walang nuclear power plant sa Italy?
Delikado kasi.
Delikado po. Yung po ba tayo?
Dati meron, nawala. Kasi nga, delikado. And they learned the lessons from this 1986 Chernobyl. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, kasi magsasabi sa'yo, hindi mangyayari dito sa Pilipinas yan. Pagka-engineer ka, hindi mo siya sabi yan. What is the definition of accident? As a safety or ordinary accident.
Hindi
it is an unplanned event. Yes,
unplanned.
Exactly. Yes. Tinagalog mo lang, it is an unplanned event. So do not say that it will not happen. Ang sabi nga natin, we always follow the Murphy's Law. What is Murphy's Law? Nothing is as easy as it looks. Everything takes longer than you expect. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong, and it will happen in a worst possible moment. Ganyan ang safety.
Okay. Marami na naman tayong guest din. Marami tayong nanonood sa inyo. Engineer, ito po si taga Unilever, si Jester Alubog. Good afternoon po, Sir Ronnie. We hope we can attend your lectures on HSE, especially for aspirants like us who wish to work on oil and gas industry. May nagtatanong po, pero hindi po ayaw pabanggit yung pangalan. Magkano daw po ba ang para siya ay gusto niya kong kumita ng 1,000,000 eh. Magkano i-invest niya daw po at para maka-enroll sa inyo at maging oil and gas
ngayon sa Zoom, we will start this March 8, I think, to
March 8 po.
5
yes,
days.
and it's 10,000.
10,000 lang? Mura lang, Brad Pitt, oh. Pwede tayo din mga anak natin kasi ito si Engineer Ronnie, nakakilala ko sa Facebook kasi mga galing, alam mo tayo, kami po ni Brad Pitt, taga Pandakan. Yung dyan planta ng Shell sa Pandakan, kaklase niya si Engineer Erwin Rabino at si Engineer Chito Poblete. Mga taga Mapúa sila, Brad Pitt. Professor ito si Engineer Ronnie dyan sa Pandakan. Sa Mapúa. Sorry.
Mapúa.
Mapúa, Professor. So, yan nga yung kanyang linya. Dapat ito nung nakaraan, siya yung guest natin. Kaya lang, very busy eh. Masyadong So, yung eskwelahan niyo po yan, how long na po ba has it been into existence? Ganun po, Engineer Ronnie.
2008.
2008, no?
In the oil and gas, Jay, I'm telling you, it's not enough that you know only the basic occupational safety and health. Otherwise, you will be, pagkayot to lang ang alam mo, tatanda ka na hindi siya challenging. For example, oil and gas. Kasaharap mo yung mga engineers at pinag-uusapan mo lang basic PPE. Tapos pag tumanda ka, nag-retire ka, yun pa rin ang alam mo. Pagka sinabi mong oil and gas, you must know safety and you must know HSE. HSE is far different from just being safety. When you say environment, this is the big issue now, environment. You must know what is the meaning of global warming, climate change. Ayan, i-challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. If kung okay lang sa inyo, do you understand what is the meaning of global warming? Yes or no? Kasi President Trump, naghahanap siya nung malamig na malamig. Nung last year, o nung, basta, tingnan mo na lang sa YouTube. Where is global warming? Ang lamig-lamig. Sabihin, hindi mo naintindihan. Do you understand?
Yes.
In understanding environment, you must know what law of thermodynamics you are referring. And this is, I make this very elementary for nurses, for non-engineers. Sabi ko nga, yung dati ko, SAF, Malaysia.
Police.
And people will be very impressed. Hahanga sila sa'yo pag nalalaman mo to. O sige, kausapin mo. Pagka kinausap mo yung mga tao about global warming at climate change, ang mangyayari, change topic. Hindi alam eh. Oh yes.
Yeah. Pero engineer, maraming dadami yung viewer ko nito kasi dami ni Brad Pitt kasi ito may isa pang tanong na medyo radikal. Engineer Dagal, do you provide free training online for those less unfortunate but are willing to go extra mile and make a difference in their lives? Ito,
when you
po.
Ayan, ipagdasal na lang natin sila na sana magkaroon ng mamumuhunan para sa inyo. Kasi tinan mo, ni isang maghanap ka ng organization at saka ng paralan na tuturo nitong tinuturo ko na matatanggap ka at mapa-impress mo ang mga tao, ang mga international interviewers. Hindi to tinuturo sa mga petroleum universities, petroleum engineering universities. Challenge them. What is the process in Malampaya? What is the process involving Qatar? What are the products in Qatar? What are the processes in Saudi Arabia? Name catalysts that are used in the plant. What are the hazards of this? And on top of this, the bottom line, what is the effect in the environment? You must know the meaning of environment because this is a big issue. While you are young, you must be able to know this. You must know this. Engineers are very puzzled with this. Until now, I can see some posts. Tell me where is global warming? Kasi nga ang lamig-lamig. Hindi ka ba kahit ikaw mapapasil ka eh. Bakit nga pala global warming? Ang global warming, alam ko dyan, umiinit. Eh, ang lamig-lamig eh. Kaya presidente ng pinaka-powerful nation. Hindi alam. So I'm not surprised pag hindi mo rin alam. But it's more than that.
So yun
You
pala,
must know
Brad Pete.
what are those gases and their byproducts.
So,
And then the effect.
ano sir po pala yung global warming?
Hindi, Tagalog na rin yan eh, umiinit. Ang tanong doon, Tagalog lang yan eh. Ang tanong doon, bakit malamig na malamig? And this we are teaching in our in my classes. It's not enough na maghihiwa-hiwala yung mga basurang nabubulok at saka hindi nabubulok. Eh palagay ko yun, hindi mo dapat pag-aralan yun. Pero importante yun. Di ba? Hindi ko masasabing hindi importante. Importante yun. Kaya lang, with respect to the knowledge, kung maghihiwa-hiwalay lang ng basura, tuturo ko sa'yo, o kaya naman, pending, basic occupational safety and health, alam mo rin yun, Brod Pete eh, di ba? Oh, ito, bibigyan kita example. Kanina ka pa nakaupo. Ano gagawin mo? Kanina ka pa nakaupo. Pagod ka. Ano gagawin mo?
Tatayo naman.
Oh, tinuturo ko pa ba sa iyo? Kung sa computer mo, napapagod ka na nakataas yung mata mo. Anong gagawin mo? Nakataas mata mo. Anong gagawin mo sa computer?
Ile-level.
Ile-level mo. Eh, sabi sa iyo, mababaw yan eh. That is basic occupational safety and health. You call it ergonomics. Making things easy for you. But when you go to oil and gas, it's not only about proper illumination. It's not about only housekeeping. Di ba?
Malalim.
You need to know.
Oh, yes.
Malalim.
Oh, ibang level kasi si Engineer Ronnie. Si Engineer Ronnie ay talaga expert siya dyan, Brod Pete.
Sir, saan niyo pinag-aralan yan?
Siyempre, thank you, Brod Pete. I worked 30 years in the oil and gas. And every time I go to a plant, I studied everything. And this is the tip that I'm sharing with our kababayan. You need to have a book. And up to you to have a book and then study.
Kanya-kanyang aral.
Imagine, here we are talking of energy in the Philippines, and the person who is talking is not aware of the upstream, of the midstream, and the downstream. And they are not ordinary people. They are senator. Mga senador. So, anong lesson learned dito? Ang lesson learned dito is, bata ka pa lang, pag-aralan mo na. Para pag lumaki ka, ikaw naman magtuturo. Eh, nangyari, you cannot climb a floor without stairs. That is the lesson.
Sir, bilang isang yung normal, ano ba ang word doon? Simpleng yung tingin ko papunta siya sa solar o yung mga renewable energy. So, later on, oil and gas magiging na siya, obsolete. Tama po ba yung pananaw na gano'n?
Maganda pag-aralan yan, Brod Pete, no? Maganda yung tanong mo na yan. Kasi we are in the transition period. The future, you have, as I said, we have the ITER. What is ITER? Interthermonuclear Experimental Reactor. Pagka uunawain mo yan, parang nakakatawa. Narinig mo na ba yon? No?
No, sir. No, hindi pa. First time, sir.
Tokamak yun. Tokamak. Di na rin tokamak. It's now in France, US, Russia, Japan. They're experimenting. Kaya nakakatawa yan kasi mag-iisip ka, the temperature that they are looking for, that they are working on, is 50 million degrees centigrade. Hindi ka ba nasasyak sa 50 million? The temperature of the sun, the surface of the sun, is 5,000 degrees centigrade. The core of the sun is 15 million degrees centigrade, 1.5. And you are here talking of 50 million degrees centigrade. That's
mainit pa sa araw.
Mainit pa sa araw, more than.
Yeah.
300 at 500 at saka 15.
Sir, yung sa China, parang nakagawa sila ng ganyan.
Hindi, yan na nga yun. Tokamak na yun. Russia ang number 1 dyan. Ngayon, Ito naman sa 2050 pa. But looking for other alternative energy, you have the biogas, you have the geothermal, you have the solar, sabi mo nga, you have the wind turbines. Okay? Ano pa? And the process there, of course, you need to learn what is from coal to gas, CTG. But what I'm saying is, transition. Ang reality mo dyan is yung kotse mo magiging baterya. Walang problema yon. Pero yung large manufacturing company mo, ano magdadrive doon? They need large amount of energy. In Luzon, you need 7,000 megawatt. Malampaya, you are very fortunate because when Bataan, ito, for the youth, ito, bibigyan ko kayo ng free knowledge. When Bataan nuclear plant was mothballed in 1986, that administration, as I said, I'm not talking of the names, that administration was able to find a Malampaya gas in Malampaya. And from 89 to 2002, it gives off an energy to Luzon, which is 43% of the requirement of Luzon. If you need 7,000, they're giving you 3,211 megawatt. Now tell me, whoever, why will you prepare Bataan nuclear power plant, which is 600 megawatt? Which is higher? Question. 600 or 3,211?
3,000.
Of course. So why are you preferring still that nuclear power plant? See the common sense? Now, I
Mas
tell you.
delikado pa.
Oh yes. One. How much is the revival cost of the nuclear power plant? We are not pro or against. We are engineering and science. How much is the revival cost of the Bataan nuclear power plant? You know or you do not know?
Hindi
We
rin
do
po.
not know, sir. We do not know.
$4.
For
Ilan po? $4 million.
4 billion. Bravo.
billion.
Dollars.
Now, how much is the commissioning cost? How much is the commissioning cost? Decommissioning. You do not know also.
Meron pa.
Yes.
We know
Another
nothing,
$4
sir.
billion.
Oh.
You see?
Pero parang
The
i-revive nila
spent
yan.
fuel. How long will it be radioactive? The spent fuel. 10,000 years. And if an accident happened, di ba pagka nag-risk assessment ka, ganyan ang ginagawa mo, tinatanong mo, paano pag may nangyaring aksidente? That will cost you, ang sabi ko nga, at Chernobyl, it cost $350 billion. Ang paglilinis sa Japan, tubig, nililinis hanggang ngayon, and still growing, $202 billion. Ang budget mo sa isang taon, sa bansa mo, wala pang 100, mga 98. Lagyan natin $100 billion. O, isang aksidente pa lang, wala ka, bangkarote ka na. Analyze this. $4 billion, re-revive mo. Ilang megawatt? Ilang megawatt ang Bataan?
Ang laki, no?
600.
We
600.
basically...
Teka muna, tutuloy ko. Kasi 2021 ngayon eh.
Opo.
2021, gusto ko lang ng 600. Noong 2015-2016, nag-umpisa na yung San Buenaventura sa Quezon, 500. Ba't gusto mo ng 600?
Meron
Ano
na pala
sir yun? Ano yung sa Quezon?
Ano yung sa Quezon? Di namin
Siyempre,
alam.
hindi mo alam. Buti pala, naano ako. San Buenaventura, coal-fired power plant. Critical coal-fired power plant. Coal.
Di ba sir, ano yan? Masama
Kasi,
sa environment, yung coal?
Oh yes, masama. Kaya doon nilagay sa malayo doon. Kasi dati nung araw, Brod Pete, hindi mo lang nalaman o kayo, ang thermal power plant natin nandito sa Taguig, nandito sa Makati, which is a Rockwell. We have the Tigen in Manila and we have the Gardner-Snyder in Taguig. Patero, something like this. Wala na yung mga yan. And fortunately for us, na-establish yung Malampaya, 1989. It runs 27 years. Now, madideplete siya ng 2029. So, yung nabigla nga rin ako nung nakita ko na nagawa na pala yung DCP, Depletion Compression Platform, which is part of the secondary recovery for the Malampaya. Sabihin, para to prolong the life of Malampaya. Now,
ano sir nakukuha doon? Anong gas yun? Natural gas ba yun, sir? Yung sa Malampaya?
natural gas, of course. Of course. And then condensate. Yes. Now, what is the alternative energy or what is the next fuel of the future for Philippines or during the transition? Ayan, sinishare ko, sinisisi ko si Jay, kahit sino. As I was interviewed the other day in American Association in Seattle, Washington. It's LNG. Now, look what is the headlines going. What is the headlines now of the newspaper? RSA, Ramon Ang, San Miguel. It's 1,800 megawatt. O anong fuel? Di natural gas sa kukuha. Siyempre, LNG. That's why, nung 2012, nagkaroon na ng dalawang LNG storage tank dyan sa Pagbilao. 2 by 130,000 cubic meters. Bakit 130,000 cubic meters? Kasi yung Qmax is 260,000. So, dalawang tanke yon, dalawang storage tank there in Quezon. Now, I think in Batangas, they're constructing now LNG storage tank. This is regasification. So, this will propel or continue the supply of gas to those power plants. One is Ilijan, Santa Rita, San Gabriel, Abion. That is 3,211 megawatt. Go ahead. Question. Always, by the way, always, Jay and the rest. If nuclear power plant is safe and there is a single modular reactor, you know what is yung single modular reactor, right? No?
Yes.
Ito yung power generator.
Module,
yes. That is 300 or 100 megawatt. It is available in the market. Why is Singapore or not anyone in ASEAN is buying? What is the simple reason why? It is unsafe. See?
Ayun. Pero Engineer Ronnie, ito, tatlo na to nagsasabi. Alam ko mahirap kang mahagilap eh. Sabi sa Saudi Arabia, part 2. Sabi ni Lester Abuyog ng Unilever, part 2. Sabi ni Angelo Redeja, malapit na kayong
maganda.
Part 2, maganda. Kailan ka ba po pwede uli na po pwede maging
tanong?
I-gather niyo yung tanong nyo, sasagutin natin. Because as Filipino, those climate advocates, you need to know oil and gas, you need to know environment. For example, if I tell you that LNG is a solution to climate change, my student know this very well. Why? It is a solution.
Ano ulit yung LNG?
Pero ikaw sigaw ka na sigaw. Liquefied natural gas. Pagka climate advocates ka, alam mo dapat yung mga process at saka yung mga solution. At pagka naman ikaw ay environment specialist, you must know all of this. Kasi sa Amerika nga kita mo, ang tali-tali nila sa California. O yan, alam ng mga nakikinig kung meron nasa Amerika. Ang talino na nila, naloko pa sila. Ano yun? In 2009, a German company, Volkswagen, installed a defeat device. They never knew this until 2016. And Volkswagen, this is called a white-collar crime. They are paying, sulat mo na, how much? $25 billion just by polluting the air. Because in America, you have what you call the Clean Air Act and the Environmental Protection Agency, and then you have the NAAQS. The NAAQS is the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. They're very, very strict. Imagine if a strict people is being can be manipulated. You see, and this is good. You have to understand. You have to understand this. What are those gases? Kaya nga dapat alam mo siya. It's not all, alam mo kasi ordinary dyan sa mga oil and gas, H2S. you must know what is the usefulness of H2S. You must know its hazards. You must know you must know its byproduct. You must know the difference between product and byproduct. You must know the resultant when it rains. There are so many, in our training center. In my case, I am asking what this gas, which is very familiar, and then these people that I'm asking are engineers, and the answer is always wrong. See? You go to Saudi Arabia, you must know why I am always talking Saudi Arabia, even in America Association, because Saudi Arabia produce the largest producer. Well, you can say that it's America. America produced 19 million, but they are using 14, so 5 na lang. Ang Saudi Arabia, they're producing 11, and they're using 4. They're selling 7 million barrels per day.
Engineer, malapit na tayo magtapos, pero pagbibigyan ko lang to si Marine Naval Architect Rene Viloria, nakikinig, ano? May comment siya dito, sabi niya, I think the best and cheapest gas energy we can use is LNG, and most developed countries are going LNG for it's easy to handle and safer to handle. Ando po ang comment niyo ron.
Easy to handle depends. Well, as I said, early on, this is the fuel in the transition period for the nuclear for countries in the third world. Others, they will insist for hydrogen. But hydrogen, tanongin mo engineer, saan kukuha ng hydrogen? Tanongin mo, subukan mo, challenge them. Saka kukuha. Yung mga iba kasi tawag nila diyan ngayon MEMA, di ba? Where will you get hydrogen? America is getting it from natural gas. How will you get it from water? You are only getting 4% in water. Now, if you are going to use solar, you call it green hydrogen. Saan ka kukuha ng hydrogen? Sige nga, sabihin mo sa akin. Kung kukuha ka ng hydrogen sa natural gas, di bibili ka ng LNG. Tapos kukunin mo pa yung hydrogen sa natural gas. Pwede mo nang gamitin yung LNG. See, it's a complicated issue when it comes to energy, but you must be able to level with these people. What else?
Pero engineer, Brod Pete, overtime na tayo ng 2 minuto. So, engineer Ronnie, pwede mong batiin at pwede mong i-invite din sila sa iyong training school. I'll give you the time, and after which si Brod Pete, dahil overtime na tayo ng 2 minutes and 38. Nagagalingan lang si Elsa, part 2 eh. Sige po, engineer.
Yes, sana may
just
part 2
type my name in Google, Ronnie Dagal. That's it. But you always mispronounce my name, Dagal. Dagal without N.
Dagal.
63 years old. Kaya right now, I'm wearing glasses kasi minsan yung pong comment,
It's alright. It's alright.
Okay.
You must learn oil and gas. This is the best foundation of knowledge. I'm telling you. I'm telling them.
I-text nyo ako para sa part 2. Ang dami, pati yung station manager po natin si Elsa. Sabi ito po station manager ng DWBL, si Elsa Junela.
Kumausap ka ng mga estudyante, mga graduate sa UP. Debunk deuterium. Debunk it. Challenge yan. Hindi by politics, sinabi nito, mataas na tao yan, totoo yan. Hindi ganon.
Bini-blink na tayo. So,
okay.
Maraming salamat po mga kasama. So, Brod Pete, kukuha tayo uli ng
Maraming salamat, sir. Yes.
Brod Pete, bibigay tayo ng donation ulit sa Isabela. Ready na yung iba nandito, konti lang galing sa mga tagapakinig natin sa Saudi. Sino si Romel? Magdao, maraming salamat. Matthew Sale Hernandez, magandang hapon. Angelo Redea, Maki Banaag at Kokoy Ubico, maraming salamat.